Good afternoon, everyone. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, baby. Yes. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for our Day 3 Faculty Development Program on behalf of Sri Dombiyali Mitra Mandal, Matrushri Kashibin Motilal Patel, Senior College of Commerce and Science. And our today's topic is exploring the six verticals of NEP. Now I would like to welcome our Assistant Professor Karishma Patil ma'am to introduce our today's speaker.
Sorry. Good afternoon, all of you. Welcome to day 3. Faculty. Hello. 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 Am I audible?
Yes, Karishma Miss.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon all of you. Welcome to day 3 faculty development program. I'm assistant professor Karishma Vinayak Patil. Welcome you all on behalf of Sri Domili Mitra Mandal, Matrushi Kashiben Motilal Patel, Senior College of Commerce and Science. Today we all have gathered here for the 6 days online faculty development program on NEP 2020. Before we begin, let's take a moment to express our gratitude to all the esteemed faculty members and the participants who have joined us today. Your presence adds immense value to this session. We are privileged to have with us today's speaker, Advocate Suyash Pradhan Sir, IC Principal of Anand Vishwa Gurukul Law College of Thane, who guides us on today's topic, exploring 6 verticals of NEP 2020. Sir has worked as an advocate in Bombay High Court, City Civil and Session Court in Mumbai and Thane City for nearly 15 years. He has been legal consultant for Times of Money Limited, a subsidiary of Times Group. He has worked as a legal consultant for in CableNet, subsidiary of Hinduja Group. Also worked with Neatport Talbot Youth Offending Team as a jury panel member set up under Ministry of Social Justice, Government of United Kingdom. The work was to conduct hearing of children below 14 years. And sir, who are the first time offenders and the award punishment. Sir is the first and only Indian as well as Asian to be appointed on this panel. He has worked as a visiting faculty in various colleges in Mumbai. Sir is the founder IC principal of Anand Vishwa Gurukul College of Law, also vice principal of self-finance courses in Satish Pradhan Gyan Sadhana College. Sir has also appointed as a member of District Legal Services Authority for a period of 3 years. Sir was one of the 5 international students in University of Wales, Swansea to earn merit at LLM degree level. Sir was the only person to be honored by the government of Maharashtra with Savitribai Phule Award as a best NSS volunteer at plus 2 level for outstanding performance as an NSS volunteer during the work done in Satish Pradhan Gyan Sadhana College. He has also authored various books on law. Sir has been appointed as an external member of Ragging Prevention Committee in Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Hospital, Kalwan. Now that we have been introduced to Mr. Suyash Pradhan sir and gain insight into their impressive background. So let's delve into the heart of today's discussions. So I would request to Advocate Suyash Pradhan sir to take a charge of this session.
Good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I thank the institution, the college, for inviting me to speak on the topic related to the National Education Policy 2020. That is, the topic is obviously the 6 verticals of NEP 2020. Before we, of course, go ahead and we understand or we see these 6 verticals, the first and the most important thing that is there is the biggest question today is why there is so much of buzz around NEP 2020. We need to understand the reason why NEP 2020 has been introduced as a new policy. The reason is because what has been happening over a period of time is today there are students who are coming taking admission, and they are offered education which we feel is important for them. But the real question that obviously arises is, what about the expectation of the market, expectation of the employers, whether they are going to be satisfied with the product, that is the student that is coming out of the universities and colleges. And then, when all this was thought about, all this was analyzed, the basic understanding was that there has to be some improvement. There has to be some alignment of the industry expectation with what our curriculum is, and that is the basic reason why obviously we have the reason of having introduced or reason of bringing the national education policy of 2020. uh, the higher education, which is considered as a very important factor for any country, the reason is because it is the talent that we attract. It is the way we shape up the future of the students, and all that is very important when we talk about giving proper higher education. And this education, of course, the traditional pattern was having certain drawbacks which the government felt, and that is the reason why there was an immediate requirement of revamping the entire education system, and therefore the National Education Policy 2020 has come into existence. Now, please remember that when we are talking about us as a country, India as a country, we are going to have the highest population of young people in the world. If we talk about the global education development agenda, which is the sustainable development goal number 4, um, of 2020, the agenda for sustainable development, which was adopted by India in 2015, sorry, says that ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by the period 2030. And this was the basic goal that we had set for ourselves. And that is the reason why we brought into existence, we brought into our own practice the NEP 2020, which is implemented obviously at university levels and autonomous college levels from last year. And we all are looking forward for implementation at every college level from the coming upcoming academic year. So the basic reason why we have this NEP 2020 is obviously because of the sustainable development goal, and to bring a change in the education system, education pattern that we have in our country. So then the question is whether our current education pattern is does it have any drawback? So the answer to this you will get when we refer to the Lord Macaulay's address in the British Parliament on 2nd of February 1835. What does Lord Macaulay say? He says, I have traveled across the length and breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is beggar or thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral value, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old education and ancient education system, her culture, for if the Indians think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. So this is the speech that was given by Lord Macaulay, who was considered to be the father of British education in India. What had traditionally happened was, in India, if you see the term or the period prior to the British period, we all know that we had something which is called as Gurukul pattern. So what was a Gurukul pattern? That any student who wants to learn anything, he could come, he could sit, he could just learn those things, and he could go back. The such was the greatness of the traditional Gurukul system. The Gurukul system also ensured that students had freedom to select what to learn, what not to learn. Slowly and steadily, when we came and when we saw what Lord Macaulay felt, Lord Macaulay proposed that the traditional Indian education system should be replaced by the British education system. And therefore, Thomas Babington Macaulay, a British politician and historian, gave his minutes on Indian education, the speech that we just saw the extract of on 2nd February 1835, where he proposed that we should, replace the Indian education system with England. He said that in terms of physical and social science, Lord Macaulay was of the opinion that Indian learning was inferior to European learning, and he was Mr. Macaulay was basically an British politician, and he was considered to be the architect of Indian education system, which changed from Indian education system to the Western style education system. And Mr. Macaulay has published lots of things, lots of different elements um, on these topics at different types of magazines or different level of journals. Since the publication, the history of England has been praised for its literary style, even after broad criticism of its historical claim. So, what we wanted is Macaulay was stressing continuously that the culture of Western countries is far more superior, far more important than the culture of India. And this was how he convinced the people here to accept the British education system. And one of the very important quote that Mr. Thomas Babington Macaulay said that he has written in his minutes also, a single shelf of good European library was worth entire native literature of India and Arabia. So this was how the desperation was there to bring the Western education system in country like India, and that is the reason why slowly and steadily Mr. Macaulay tried to replace the Indian education system with the British education system. Um, the primary objective of, or the primary reason why the British education policy was brought in India was because they wanted to produce money, which was not at all done when we talk about the traditional Indian system. Second and the most important thing is uh, the Britishers wanted to start few higher education institutions in India. Sanskrit, Arabian, and Persian. These were the only languages which were taught. Persian was used as court mother tongue, and therefore the Charter Act of 1813 it allotted 1 lakh rupees each for the purpose of teaching the subjects. Now, the focus was there should be preaching of Christianity as the religion, and that was the main aim why the education systems or higher education institutions were being brought by the Britishers into India. Now, uh, you know, uh, Lord Macaulay pushed for closure of all universities who were offering Eastern philosophy. He also argued that selected people from India should receive government education and they should then instruct it to other people in the country. And the very famous quote that we all know, that is Indian by birth and British by taste. So there was an attempt by Lord Macaulay who said that we want to have people from India, but who will accept the interest of the Britishers, and that is why it was said Indian by birth and color, but English by likes, beliefs, morality, and interest. And therefore, on June 10th, 1834, Lord Macaulay arrived in India as a lawyer, serving on the Governor General's Executive Council, and he was chosen to lead the Committee of Public Instruction. And he was given the important responsibility of solving the conflict between Orientalists and Anglists in 1835. And then he obviously recorded all this in the form of minute, and the minutes were adopted. The resolution was adopted in March 1835. Now, very important part which gives the background for implementation of national education policy. Um, the British government focused on ensuring that all money appropriated for the purpose of education must be spent on English education only. And any person who is enrolled under any other language, that person will not receive any stipend. And therefore, those people who are, accepted English as a language, only those students were given these stipends and not the other person. Then the second attempt that he made was, um, future government spending will only be devoted to Indians who are taking education in English literature and sciences. So basically, please remember that India did not have technically English as a language from day one. The importance of English as a language came when Britishers tried to introduce, when Britishers tried to bring the British education policy, the British education system that which we followed in the country. Before this, we had lots of education done in the mother tongue, lots of education which was done on different aspects, different languages, which were local to India. But this was a major step that was taken by Macular, who said that we will try to provide support, stipend only to Indians who are accepting English as a language of or medium of education. We cannot say that this Macular minutes did not benefit the Indians at all. Of course, there were lots of benefits which were given to the Indians because of these minutes. The first and the most important thing is obviously we are, we had English language introduced in the country, and ultimately, we cannot deny, but Indian freedom struggle relied on one of the languages, that is English, because that was a very big impact for the purpose of getting freedom from the Britishers. Second, the Macular minutes um, gave change from indigenous traditional education system to more formalized and modern education pattern. So, before the British education system was introduced, we all know that we had a scattered kind of system. What do you mean by scattered kind of system? The scattered kind of system means, now for example, if we talk about the Gurukul pattern, the Gurukul pattern was a pattern where everybody had a choice, that they could go and they could sit anywhere, they could grasp any knowledge. Now under the British education system which we currently follow, there is a step by step way of accepting, or step by step way of progressing. For example, under the traditional Gurukul pattern, if a student from 5th standard, if he wanted, he could have easily gone and he could have sat in the 7th standard. But when we talk about the British education did not give such kind of opportunity. Now we cannot jump one class and go to the next class. For example, a student studying in 4th standard, he has to pass 4th standard exam, then go to 5th standard, and then go to 6th standard. If a student says, no, I will not go to 6th standard, I'll go to 7th standard directly. So that cannot be done under the formal system, which was more structured, more systemized. And one more advantage of Macular minutes was it provided access to the world literature. We only had few literatures around the world, and the present education system, we got English as a language which exposed many good kind of literatures. There were many books which many informations which India could get as against which would we could not have got this if we had followed the traditional languages. And that is one credit that we obviously must give all the time to Macaulay, for bringing the education. But then there were some disadvantages. The disadvantages included, number one, the Oriental and Occidental controversy. The argument was, the arguments between these two groups, they were, they were not ended. In fact, Macula ignored all of them and also insulted them very badly. And you know the practice that we had in India, it was obviously impracticable to educate each and every person from India at that particular point of time. So the misconception that we always have, that from where did the English language come, whether English language was there from with us, or it was brought to us from somewhere. So the answer or the background which we get is obviously from the macular minutes that we had. Now one more very important argument against the macular minutes is, Macaulay had suggested that our language of instruction should only be English. And because English was promoted to such a large extent, there are many Indian languages which were, not studied at all. Um, in fact, if we go and if we see our demographic pattern, um, we have certain languages which are followed right from our childhood, which we learn. Now, if a child who is learning X language, if he is asked to stop and if he is asked to, accept the instructions in English, that means he is made to learn only English. The other languages obviously, get ignored, and that was something which was also a reason for criticism for the macular minutes. And the wealthy class never helped the lower class to increase their level of living, or receive a better education. So even though education system was promoted, there is hardly any attempt made to promote the betterment of standard of living of the people that we have in our country. And that is something um, which is another very important point which justifies the national education policy of 2020, because we know national education policy 2020 is concentrating, is focusing on giving the education in vernacular language also, and not just English. And then the idea that Macaulay was in charge of bringing about new educational strategy, technically if we see, it is not correct, it is not true. Now if we want to talk about the verticals, six verticals under the national education policy of 2020, so we have the first thing, that is the major subjects. The second obviously vertical that we have is the minor subjects. Then we have the generic or open electives. Then we have the vocational courses. Then we obviously have the ability enhancement courses. Then a very important subject which has been introduced, and for which the government of India has been extensively following up and introducing people to take up this subject, that is the Indian knowledge systems and the value education courses. And obviously the last element or vertical that we have is the field project, apprenticeship, or community service. Now what is the meaning of a major subject? Now now see, suppose the basic idea what NEP has brought about before all of us. Suppose, for example, I am a sorry. Suppose, for example, I am a student, and I want to choose. I want to see, um, you know, uh, that whether I can take some other subject, some subject which is not of my choice. Can I do that? So, under the current education pattern, you know that if we have, if we have something called say for example, if we have commerce, the commerce subject of commerce are fixed and it is given to the student by us. So apart from the that particular list of subjects, I am unable to take any other subject which I want as a student. Now, under the NEP 2020 regime, the idea is that that student should be able, or that student should be allowed to take subjects which he or she wants to learn, or which he or she wants to accept. But at the end of the day, please remember, if we just give all the subjects, and if we just tell them that no, you can choose any subject, you can take any subjects, and you can do your you can pursue your degree, that idea or that concept makes that education system weak. And therefore there has to be one core subject. Now one core subject means one particular very important subject, that subject which the student is mandatorily required to study as a program of study. Now, suppose for example, if I talk about, say, or just for example, commerce. So, if I talk about commerce, accountancy becomes one of the very important subject. For example, so that subject will be, included as a major subject. One more very important subject, and I'm stressing and I'm always focusing on Indian knowledge system as one of the very important subject. The reason is because Indian knowledge system is something which is very important. Why it is very important? The reason is because at the end of this slides, I will be discussing something on the Indian knowledge system, because it does have a lots of significance under the National Education Policy of 2020. But then the major subject is basically giving the idea that major subject means the mandatory subject which we want. Then we have that elective course. Now, what is an elective course? Elective course is something which can be a project, which can be a concept, which is designed to acquire skills to supplement the major study. So that means if the major study is X, the elective course must be such that which will be in conjunction with X. For example, if I want to give a particular subject as a main subject, the elective course must try to justify the subject as elective. The reason is because it should develop some new skill which will help that particular student to to grasp the major subject, and that major subject will be the subject which will give the skills to that particular student. Now,
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you please change the slide?
okay, I think 1 minute. I'll just stop and share again.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Is it visible now, the current
Yes,
slide?
sir.
The second obviously element is the minor subject. Now, what is a minor subject? The minor subject is nothing but an subject which a student is expected to take as an additional requirement of the program of study. So, what do you mean by additional requirement of the program of study? It basically means the minor subject must be in addition to what the major subject is. I'm just giving an example. It can be, it is different for different institutions. Suppose, for example, if I say that, I'm offering commerce as the major subject, in which accountancy is a major subject. So if I want to, give a minor subject, if I want accountancy to be a major subject, then mathematics could be one of the subject which can be a minor subject. The reason is because when we talk about accounts will require some elements of maths. So that is something which is the idea of minor subject. I just change this slide and show you once again what I tried to mean by major subject. See, the major subject was saying that it is the core subject which should be mandatory, and elective must be a subject which will supplement, which will help the development of major subject. Whereas what are we saying in the minor subject? The minor subject is a subject which is an additional requirement of the program of study. So that means if we actually talk about the concept of major, minor and elective subject, elective should complement the major subject. Minor subject should enhance the understanding of the major subject of that particular student who is going to learn, who is going to pursue, who is going to come under the element or under the umbrella of the national education policy. Then the next vertical that obviously we have is open electives. Now, what is the meaning of open elective? We are coming back to the concept that we had in traditional India, that is the Gurukul pattern. Now, what happened under the Gurukul pattern? Under the Gurukul pattern, suppose for example, there is one particular student wants to say learn, for example, if I am learning, I'm just taking an example, it was not applicable in the olden times, but still just for an understanding and discussion purpose. In the olden times, suppose I have taken commerce as a subject and I am I want to learn music. So under the current regime, I cannot get anything called music. I cannot get anything which is apart from what is the designed course as per the university syllabus or as per the college. But the open electives will allow a student to choose or select a subject from some discipline which is not related, thereby truly making this particular course as a multidisciplinary course. So suppose for example, a student may have interest in any subject. He may be inclined to choose any subject which should be it should not be directly connected with the main area of his study. It could be music, it could be some kind of sport, it can be some kind of any other kind of skill. It could be some kind of talent which he is or she is looking for. So all this comes under the category, or all this comes under the element of the open elective concept. I think yes, Richa madam, you have raised the hand. Okay. Then the next obviously element is ability enhancement course. Now, what is the meaning of ability enhancement course? It is a course, or it is something which is related to linguistic and communication skills and literature. Now, the idea that the government had when the national education policy was framed was, whereas the current education system is focusing only and only on English as the major area of study, as a major language of study. The government wanted that, apart from English, there should be local languages, traditional languages also, which must be promoted, which must be given exposure to. And that is the reason why the ability enhancement courses which will include linguistic and communication skill. It will include English communication as one of the area or language of communication, but it also gives the opportunity for the student to elect any other Indian language apart from English. So the major complaint, the major criticism was that uh, whether NEP 2020 is making a student to be industry compliant or no. So the answer to this is yes, he is going to be industry compliant. He is going to face the industry. He is going to face the international trade, because English is a language which is given to him. But apart from that, in order to promote the local instructional language, in order to promote the language that he or she wants, the promotion is also, or the option of electives where any other Indian language apart from English could also be taken by that particular student or learner, to be very, very specific. So that is basically having an element of ability enhancement course, which is an another important element under the NEP 2020. Then we have the vocational skills. Now, what do you mean by vocational skills? The vocational skill is basically practical skill, hand-on training. They can be soft skills, which will help to increase the employability of the student. Specific or um, task which will support the major subject is something which is expected to be offered by the institution or the college. Now, let us take one example. Uh, VSC vocational skill course is basically the complaint that is made by the recruiter. What are the complaints of the recruiter? The recruiter says our expectations are X. The expectation with which the student comes is Y. There is a gap between two expectations. So, say for example, every student wants that when I get degree, I should get a job. Recruiter says, suppose if you want to get the job, you need to have certain set of skills. Now, what set of skills are there? Those set of skills are, there is a mismatch. And to bring that mismatch, to a level of matching, the industry specific expectation was heard and it was put in this particular element, that is the vocational skill course. Any skill, any course, any technique which will help the student to increase his or her employability, that comes under the category of vocational skill course. Ideally, it makes sense that your vocational skill course must be a practice which will support, a practice which will enhance the major subject. Because ultimately, if you are going to select a skill which is not connected with your major subject or the subject for your major, then it is not going to justify why you have taken both of these together. Suppose for example, a student is selecting one major area, major subject, and the other subject is completely unrelated to him or her. So then in that particular case, it is more of an hobby to her or him. It is not something which is going to enhance the existing skill regarding the existing major subject. And that is the reason why while selecting the vocational skill courses also, it is extremely important that we all keep into mind the student, his or her interest, and then only we talk about the element of giving the vocational skill courses. Then we have the skill enhancement course. Skill enhancement course is another very important activity. um, we are going to have an hybrid mode under the national education policy. Now, what do you mean by hybrid mode? Obviously, we after the COVID-19 pandemic, we have all changed ourselves as an academician regarding the type or way of conducting the lectures. Prior to COVID-19, we never thought that lectures could have been taken on the computer, online. When the pandemic came, when there was lockdown, we shifted from offline to online. After the pandemic was over, we came and we learned that yes, some part of the lectures could be taken offline, some part of the lectures could be taken online. So therefore we accepted this hybrid mode. Now uh, where skills practical training can be taken under this, the first one, that is what I explained just before, vocational is basically hand-on skill, hand-on job. Skill enhancement course can be done online by taking the help of Swayam portal, NPTEL platforms, MOOC courses, and various other online platforms which the student can take advantage of. Um, One more flexibility that is obviously given at this level is that student is now allowed, or the college is now allowed to even offer um, a course designed by them through an online mode also. But then the skill enhancement course is very important because that is something which is going to enhance the employability of the student also, and therefore that object has to be kept in mind when we talk about the concept of skill enhancement course under the provision of NEP 2020. And then the next element is the on job training, internship, field project, community engagement program, and research project. The government wants that, we should have inculcation of research in the students. What happens is research as a habit only happens or only gets introduced at a very later part of the students tenure. For example, there is some project work for the student, and student does the project work in his or her TY. But then till he comes to or she comes to TY, there is no thought of doing research. And even in the projects that we give for TY, we know that there are many students who are just doing copy paste. An opportunity to develop the skill of research, this particular concept has been brought, where students should be given an real life problem. The problem must be solved by that student by using his experience, by using how he can contribute to that particular solution. And the most important part is the real life problem that you are giving, that must be connected to the area of major subject. The reason is because ultimately the students recognition is going to happen, the students recognition is going to be from that major subject only. So major subject, everything that we are offering now is revolving around the area of major subject, and that is why it is very very important. And that is the idea which has been brought about under the NEP 2020. So under the old British education system, we did not have all these kinds of things. We only had learn, write, and you pass. Under the National Education Policy 2020, the opportunity is now given that students can accept, students can understand, students can choose whatever skills they want to develop to the area of study that they are of interest. And that is why this element has been brought about, this element has been introduced under the concept of the National Education Policy of 2020. And then we have the co-curricular courses. Now you know this is one thing which will make many of us happy. What used to happen, we all see that in our colleges there are students who are working extremely hard. Either they choose NCC or they choose NSS. At the end of the day, they what they get is they just get 10 marks as a benefit. But then the idea is, why not such person, the such student could do some course, who could get some credits for what he's doing or what she's doing. It could be performing art, it could be visual art, NCC or NSS, as I mentioned, or the new concept of yoga. I say new, the reason is because we have recently been very successful in promoting the benefits of yoga to the entire world, and that is something which will come under the category of co-curricular courses. So now what happens is, previously students were doing a particular work under NCC, NSS, or any arts, that is performing or visual art. Students used to get just 10 marks. Now student knows that chalo, I am doing, and I'm enrolled as a volunteer in NSS. I could get a lot of benefit if I'm getting credit in this. So I will not just do it for marks. I will do for the sake of getting better credits, and I will do for the sake of my own interest also. and therefore that is all included under the category of co-curricular learning under the national education policy of 2020. The next element obviously that we have, that is the value education. Now the national education policy also focuses on making a student, a learner, a responsible citizen. Now, how responsible citizen a person can be? When he knows or she knows the core values of number one, something which is given under the Constitution of India. Second, the concept of social responsibility and community engagement. And third, the concept of environmental education. So, I should know what are my fundamental rights, but at the same time, I should know what are my fundamental duties. I should perform my fundamental duties in a proper manner, and that is the reason why value education course has been introduced as one of the compulsory course. Then social responsibility, to make the student more responsible in the society, to make him engaged with the community activities, to make him or her focused on what they want to do for development of the community. And obviously the most important part, that is the environmental education. We are already facing a big challenge of environmental degradation. We have already heard that it could go worse now. Over a period of time, we are seeing how the cycle has changed, how the pattern of climate has changed. Today we all know that if we are in March, we could experience very high heat. Same happened in the month of April also. And that is the reason why focusing or giving attention to the environment has also become one of the very important thing, and that is also being taught under the concept of value education. I have one thing, obviously I'll touch after all the at the end of these slides. That is, I have not talked in detail about the Indian knowledge systems, which is also one of the very important subject under the verticals of national education policy. Now, how the design has been done. So students will have to study their major or core subject for all years of the degree. The major subject will account for at least 50% of total credits earned in 3 or 4 year UG program. And then the student will have to take a minor subject of 18 or 20 credits from any department of the choice, including the department of their major. And students will have to study this subject only for the first 3 years of their degree, because the last year is basically focusing on research, and that is the reason why it is not included in the fourth year. If we talk about how the verticals have been given, so major has for 3 years it is 60, for 4 years it is 80, minor stream 24 and 32, then multidisciplinary there is 9, ability enhancement courses 8 and 8, skill enhancement course 9 and 9, um, value added courses 6 to 8, summer internship can be 2 to 4, and research project or dissertation is 12 marks. So we are seeing that here it is 120 and here it goes up to 160. So those honor students who do not undertake research activity will have to do 3 courses for 12 credits in lieu of research project or dissertation. So that is the focus that we have, that a person who is not going to undertake research, he can obviously do 3 courses for 12 credits. That is also the option that is available under the national education policy of 2020. Now the most important subject that we have under the national education policy, uh, the government has the government has attempted to bring back uh, the Indian original knowledge that we had in our ancient times. The the biggest question when we talk about Indian knowledge system, unfortunately, what happens is we think it is related to certain religion. Now, please remember the religion and you know um, concept of IKS is completely different. Now, of course, some part of Vedas, etc., they are a very minute area of Indian knowledge system. But that does not mean that it is completely related to religion. There are so many different aspects which come under the Indian knowledge system. And then the question that comes to our mind is why there is so much of buzz? Why there is so much of talk about the Indian knowledge system? So Indian knowledge system is not only about knowing the old knowledge and ancestral knowledge, but it is something that it is very important for India to have that economic power, because that knowledge is going to give you the money that we require, that we understand, and that we obviously advocate. The eye openers were two incidents. The first obviously is the attempt made by environmentalists to get US patent for neem tree. Now, there was an application made in US for a patent of neem leaves, that they had medicinal properties. Now, let me tell you one thing. We all know that when we were small, or even now also, suppose we have some skin rashes, we are always told that we should take bath in a bucket full of neem leaves. So water and neem leaves in it. We have Vico turmeric, which is a classic example of the cream, which is an antiseptic cream. Uh, we had this knowledge since ancient times, but few year ago, US company was given the patent that it had known the formula that neem is a pesticide. Now, if I talk about pesticide also, if you see rice, if we have one dabba of rice in our house, we put neem leaves in it, so that there are no insects in it. But then these are not new things to us. If somebody is trying to take our knowledge and extract benefit out of it, that is something which is very, very sad. And that is the reason why that was the urgent eye opener for all of us, that our traditional remedies must be protected, so that it is not misused, or it is not accepted just under their name by any country as it is. The second and the most important thing is, the second eye opener, I would say, it was in the US, which was an application was filed by two scientists. One is Soman K. Das, and second is Harihar Kohli of University of Mississippi Medical Center. They filed a patent for oral and topical use of turmeric to heal wounds and ulcers. Now, again, I come to our small, story that we have during our childhood days. During childhood days, suppose we had any cut, we had any injury. The first thing that our grandmother used to do is, or our mother used to do is, just apply some turmeric powder. Why do we apply turmeric powder? Because we know that it is having a medicinal property. Now, if for this somebody is asking for patent, that is something which is very, very serious, and we would say that it is an eye opener for all of us. So when we talk about Indian knowledge system, there are certain guidelines which have been given. All the students who are enrolled in 4-year undergraduate programs should be encouraged to take adequate number of courses in the IKS, so that the total credits of the course taken in IKS amounts to at least 5% of total mandated credits. Students can be encouraged to take during their first 4 semesters, and at least half of these mandated credits should be in course in discipline which are part of IKS and related to the major field of specialization that the student is pursuing in the undergraduate program. This will be included as a part of total mandated credit, and student is expected to take in the major field of specialization. Rest of the mandated credits in IKS can be included as a part of mandated multidisciplinary courses that are to be taken by every student. So if we carefully see, um, we are given Indian knowledge system the basics under the first semester, and then we have the concept of specialized IKS. So suppose for example, um, Ayurveda. So contribution of Ayurveda to Indian knowledge systems, that will be a specialized subject that will go where, that will go in the final year. So this can be done for all kinds of streams. It can be done for commerce, it can be done for arts, it can be done for science. But that is the first idea that we have under the guidelines for Indian knowledge system. The second is all the students should take a foundational course in Indian knowledge system. So that is basically the basic course that we have under the semester 1 now of the upcoming NEP basket program. Uh, it should be broad based, and it should cover introductory material. So just to give an idea, what do you mean by Vedas? What are Vedangas? What are the different schools? Then what is the proposition all about? Anumana, Pratyaksha. What are the different elements of we have Niti Shastra, Chanakya Niti is there, Niti Shastra is there. There are so many different types of elements, and all this must be included and at the foundation level. Then next is a large number of elective courses in IKS that student can choose. These courses can be in any discipline topic which are related to the field of specialization that the student is pursuing the UG program. So that is one more chance that is there for enhancing a student's knowledge about the Indian education system. Then next is students should be allowed to encourage or encouraged to have internship, apprenticeship in any of the disciplines or topics of IKS. Then students should have IKS or suitable IKS topic project in their 7th or 8th semester, that is the end of the third year degree. And students who are enrolled in the UG program in medicine may take a credit course in the first year of on Indian medical science system of medicine, which will include the basic understanding of Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy, and so on. So during the second year, the students may take a 2 semester credit course on theory practice of any one of Indian system of medicine such as Ayurveda, Siddha, or yoga. So this is how it is developed, and this is how we intend to have our students learn the Indian knowledge system. See, Indian knowledge system is not just about showing what our traditional system is, but it is also to understand how the traditional system is now even applicable to us in our today's modern era. And then these provisions may be incorporated in the curricular framework for the prospective programs with approval of competent authority or of higher education institutions and the professional councils wherever applicable. So we can have the concept of IKS to be incorporated as under the curricular framework wherever there is permission required from authorities, especially professional courses like engineering, medical, etc., law. There are professional bodies, and those bodies are there which are going to give us permission for in making any amendment. So, say for example, medical or legal institutions, educational institutions, they cannot directly change the syllabus as they want to. They will have to take the permission from the regulatory body, and that is the reason why it is something which is very very important. It is something which is very very crucial when we talk about the concept of IKS. IKS, that is the Indian knowledge systems. So that is what we want. We want that the Indian knowledge system must be promoted so that students will get a taste, a flavor of what our Indian knowledge system is all about. I would just like to mention one particular thing here related to the Indian knowledge system only. There was one particular beggar who used to sit on one trunk, and he used to beg before one temple. So over a period of time, his health was deteriorating. He started feeling unwell, and after a few years, that beggar passed away. That beggar had two children. Both the children used to do the same thing. They used to come, they used to engage themselves in begging, and they used to go home. They used to sit on the same place where their father used to sit. Um, the other beggars, one day they called the two children, and they said ki your father has been sitting on this trunk for so many years. You are sitting on this trunk for so many years. At least you go and see, open it and see what is there. So initially, these two, children, the son, they said that no, we don't want to open it at all, and they used to just follow the same thing, sit and carry out the activity of begging. One day, they decided that since everybody is saying, and now we are also curious, ki what is there here? So they decided that they will go and they will open the trunk. They went, they opened the trunk, and they found the trunk was full of diamonds, original diamonds. So this is how our Indian knowledge system is. It is a treasure. It is something which is given to us under the national education policy, and it is very important that we pass on this knowledge to our future generations. Because if they don't know that what our traditional knowledge was all about, it is just going to be a situation where we have lots of wealth, but we are unable to use it, and anything which we cannot use cannot actually become beneficial for our economy. Now, some very important observations. Ki, what is required if we want the national education policy to be successful? What do we require? Um, the first and the most important element that we want, that is the political will. If the political will is not strong, implementation of NEP 2020 can never be successful. If there is a very strong political will, the institutions, the government, the universities, they can all work together. And once they work together properly, they will be able to set a proper example before everybody about achievement of objects of NEP 2020. See, NEP 2020 cannot be just said that it is all about changing just the pattern. It is more about changing the pattern. Changing the pattern is there. That is one very important element. But apart from changing pattern, making students in the situation of employability, that is also something which is very important. We have seen that there have been different talks about implementation of NEP 2020. Some governments say that we will cancel NEP 2020. Uh, Ultimately, if there is a unity, there can be proper implementation. If there is no unity, obviously it can bring a big loss to the students as well as the educational fraternity, because it will stop us from exchanging the traditional knowledge that obviously we all have. The second is it is very important. Under the national education policy, we are going to have NIRF. NIRF is standing for National Institutional Regulatory Framework ranking. We have the institutions being ranked, and students will have the choice to take admission in these institutions. Now, when we are having ranking, the first 200 universities, there should be full autonomy which should be given, least or no interference from the government. There should be support for administration, for academics, and there should be freedom in terms of financial aspects also. And then the most important reason, the most important element why we have this national education policy is we want to promote research. If the research is not promoted, our element or our concept of developing the habit of research, develop innovation idea will not be successful. One thing which is very important, that is, under our constitution, sorry, we have the element of scientific temper. Now scientific temper basically means what? Ki we should have the concept of reasoning, why something has happened, why this has happened, why this has not happened. Now the national education policy 2020 is not limiting you to stop or to talk only about scientific temper. Apart from scientific temper, the national education policy is promoting the concept of research. And that is the reason why in the 4-year degree, we have more of research orientation, because we want the students to get engaged, to get involved, to get participated in the under the element of research. And if we do not have proper research activities, then in that particular case it is going to be a disadvantage, not only for us as an institution, not only for the field of the education, but it will be very dangerous even for the economy also, because we are not promoting our younger generations to find out something on their own, and that is something which is very very dangerous. And therefore the grants, more support, more financial freedom must be available, and that availability, if it is there, then only in the coming times uh, we will be able to inculcate, we will be able to develop that activity, or we can say that element of the concept of habit of research. So that is something which is very very important. And if these things are taken care of in a proper manner, I am sure, I am confident that at the end of the day, the aim of national education policy, which is to integrate our modern education pattern with our traditional knowledge, that will certainly be very very help target which can be achievable, and which will give all of us a very very bright and promising result over a period of time. So that is all about these 6 verticals of the National Education Policy 2020. I once again express my gratitude to the institution, to respected principal madam, for inviting me for this particular session. And now, if you have any questions, I am free, or I'm available to take these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suyash Pradhan, sir. The whatever the knowledge you have been given to us, it was truly and very depth, and also with the wonderful examples, especially for the major verticals as well as the minor verticals of the subject, how the student can go for the open elective and co-curricular activities and vocational skills as well. So I hope this message and the information was truly, truly very depth, and it was useful also for us participants. Still, if any queries there, I request you to put your queries in the chat box. Thank you. I repeat, any queries is there. Participants can put your queries in the chat box. Sir, I have a little query from my side regarding that. If a student is opting for minor subject and after that for the second year is finding out that is a difficult and he want to change it, can he do?
Yeah, every year you will have different kinds of minor subject. So you can definitely, he or she will be able to change it.
Okay, sir.
The curriculum changes, so obviously that freedom will be given.
Okay, sir. So there is one question from Karishma Patil ma'am. In which ways can NSS activities be integrated into the curriculum?
Now, if we talk about NSS has there is a mandate of completion of certain number of hours every year for NSS, and they fill the diary also. Um, there are certain activities which are there. For example, NSS includes residential camp. Then there is assistance for police and various authorities. During Ganpati Visarjan, there is assistance which we give. Previously, we used to have pulse polio campaign. Now we have awareness about voting and other kind of activities. So all these activities can be structured and it can be converted into a course credit, and that course credit can be those students who are opting for NSS. That course credit can be given to them and they could earn those credits. So initially, as we the concept is that even now the students are who are working for that certified number of hours, they get those 10 marks, but then that is only 10 marks, which is nothing if we talk about the kind of effort that they are taking in. Now what will happen, because it is converted into a course credit, they know that there is an entire part of credit which is going to give me my marks, and therefore they will carry out those activities with interest also, with more enthusiasm also, and they will get, or they will give, it will reap the benefit in the element of their subjects also. One more thing, it is not just about NSS. We normally see that there are certain students who are doing some cultural programs also. For example, we have cultural committee. So cultural committee organizes various activities programs, but they do not get anything. If we see, because at least NSS NCC gets 10 marks, they are not getting anything. So that also can be designed into a course curriculum, and credits can be offered to them. That also will be helpful for them in their academic performances. So this is for so many varied kind of courses.
Okay, sir. There is one more query. Can internship be given under IKS?
Yes, it can be given under, actually it should be given under IKS, because there is an element that we have. If we see the six verticals, there is on-job training, internship, field project, community engagement. So in this, even internships can be considered. Now, obviously, every stream will have different definition of internship. For example, if I say for medical or legal field, the trainees are asked to go to and work with attached with certain hospitals. For lawyers, they can be asked to go and work in a law firm. So that way, even for arts, science, commerce, and any other stream, such kind of internship training should be designed so that it does not drift away from any other. For example, now I just give you one very simple example. I don't want to demean anyone, but just this is for our understanding. There is a student who says that I'm doing graduation in commerce, but if he is asked whether you would like to do internship, he says no, I'm doing job. What do I do? I'm working as a delivery partner in Swiggy. So this is something which is now disconnected. The same thing can be integrated under commerce, because under commerce we have the element of e-commerce also. So that will give him opportunity or her opportunity to integrate that skill with the course that he is doing or she is doing. So that way integration can be possible.
Thank you, sir. I hope all the queries of have been resolved by the sir. So moving further, I would like to invite our assistant professor Swapnil Sagwekar sir to propose a vote of thanks.
There are few queries on YouTube also. Please clarify.
Should I go to YouTube and or can someone help me with the questions?
So Miss
Hello.
Kalpana is helping.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. There is one question. It's asked by, there is no name mentioned here. Question is, if commerce subjects are blended with science subjects, major will be science or and minor will be commerce subject.
If it is an autonomous institution, the choice is completely onto the institution now. What they want to keep as major and what they want to keep as minor, or else the student will have a choice that what will be his major subject and what will be his minor subject, because NEP 2020 will focus on the choice given to the students. But then the institution also has the say. Institution will have to decide what they want to keep as major, because once they decide major, then obviously what will happen, the other things revolving around the major will change accordingly. So it will be the call of the institution there.
So there is
Okay,
one
sir.
more query. There is one more query from Mithili ma'am. In NEP, whether the maths teacher have workload?
Now workload is something which is a very interesting topic under the NEP 2020. First of all, please remember that workload won't be affected if everything is planned very properly. As far as maths is concerned, I did mention that person who is from commerce or science background, at the end of the day he or she is going to need maths. So any institution who is going to completely eliminate maths as a subject, for that matter maths and stats as a subject, is going to step towards a very dangerous zone. The reason is because a subject like maths cannot be excluded from any syllabus. Yes, it can be changed from major to minor or something. So that is the reason why there is no reason to worry about workload. And at the end of the day, maths is a subject which will never be eliminated. In fact, under the IKS, I'm just giving the example of IKS again. uh, we have the concept of the concept of Vedic mathematics, and we have the ancient mathematics also. We have Aryabhatta system, Kattapayadi system. This is all going to be taught to the students at the foundation level. If your IKS teacher is going to be very strong, if he or she is going to be able to create interest in IKS, there will be more number of students, in fact, who will turn and who will opt even maths and stats as one of the subject. So yes, the answer finally is yes, there will be workload. There is no reason to worry about the not having workload in the national education policy.
Thank you, sir. The participants are all are requesting that
I
can you?
will share the PPT. Sorry, I
Yeah.
saw the question. I
Thank
will
you.
be
Thank
sharing
you.
it. No
Thank you so
problem.
much, sir. I hope all the queries have been resolved. So Moving further, I would like to invite our Assistant Professor Swapnil Sagwekar sir to propose a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A very good evening to one and all present in our day 3 FDP. Dear participant, we have shared the feedback link in chat box. Kindly fill it. Link will be active for half an hour. So it's my privilege have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for today. I am Assistant Professor Swapnil Sagwekar, would like to give the vote of thanks on behalf of Sri Dombili Mitra Mandal's Matoshri Kashiben Motilal Patel Senior College of Commerce and Science. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to today's resource person, Mr. Suyash Pradhan sir, for giving the explanation on the topic of exploring the 6 verticals of NEP. Sir has explained the minor subject, which he said, a second subject of study pursued by the student as an additional requirement. Sir has also explained about the major subject. So major subject should be related to the minor subject. He is also explained about open elective subjects, then ability enhancement course, vocational skill course, skill enhancement course, on job training, internship, field visit, research project, and some co-curricular activities. So we all are inspired by your values and the knowledge, and you really encourage us by your today's wonderful session. Thank you, sir. So last but not least, I would like to thank all the attendees of today's session for your patience and the support. Without your cooperation, our FDP would not have been a successful event. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Participants, the link has been provided in the chat box. Kindly please fill the feedback form. It will be activated for 30 minutes. Dear participants, the link has been shared in YouTube as well.